Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trucked Before. This time, a private little war. Yes, you'll hear it's one of my favorites. Maybe favorites going a little strong, but you'll hear. Give it a listen. Something else might be one of your favorites. Check out the Quarterly Book Club. They've been doing this a while, every quarter. So there's several. Go back, listen. Misery by Stephen King. You read that? Catch up with the thoughts with the group. The latest right now, they're reading. I want to read this, and I don't read books because I'm borderline illiterate. It is Lost City of the Monkey God, a true story by Douglas Preston. Sounds fascinating. I don't know if it's fiction, nonfiction. I don't know. You don't know. Check it out. And then get in with the group and see what they got to say about it. Speaking of getting in the group, patreon.com, patreon.com/IABD. Go there and support the IABD Presents network. Just a small contribution, and you get on the inside with all of us at IABD. Get special secret reviews of shows. Get special bonus things. And regardless, you donate, you feel better because you're supporting us and helping us do more for you. Patreon.com/IABD. Big thank you to Chris Allen for editing this episode. He's making us sound so much better than we actually do sound. Now, unfortunately, it's back to the other side. It's a war. It's a private little war on It's All Been Trucked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trucked Before. We've got a smaller group tonight.
Skeleton Crew. This is Steven.
It's Colleen.
Zoe is with Colleen, and Jimmy-Jerome is here. We've had smaller groups, but
Sure.
But we've also routinely had larger groups. Well, we're here to talk about a private little war.
Yes.
So we kept the conversation small.
Exactly. It makes sense we have a smaller group.
Right, exactly. First impressions of the episode.
I said last week that I thought that, this one was one of my underrated favorites. For me, it's still there's so much I really like about this episode. I see why it's not in the top 10 or whatever.
Sure.
The Pantheon. There's certain things in there. It's a very different episode. It's kind of Planet of the Week, but it isn't. I feel like it's a deeper dive into this planet and deeper dive into some of the meteor things, and we'll get into more of that. But yeah, I still liked it a lot. Like I said, I don't know if I'd put it in top 10 of Trek all time, or at least for even original series, but it's probably in my top 15 or 20. I do appreciate this quite a bit. So.
Oh, I thought it was so boring.
Yeah.
I got so bored.
I know you guys aren't going to agree with me. But.
Yeah, I think there are some interesting issues raised, but I think the lead guest stars kind of sucked, and I think that made the episode boring, honestly. I agree with Colleen there.
Tyree or Nona or both, or you guys didn't like
both?
Nona?
Tyree had good morals and good ideals, but yeah, he was kind of a wimpy wuss guy. And then Nona, the first impression of her was like, oh, okay, and then she was just awful.
Well, and that was my thing, is I couldn't decide if was she like Lady Macbeth, is she acting in the best interest of her people? I couldn't decide.
I thought she was Lady Macbeth, yeah.
Yeah,
which I liked, but
went and betrayed her people to go to the other people.
Well, right.
The end made no sense to me.
Which
the part where she was all like, I'll go give this to the other group.
I think she got tired of Tyree being lame and was like, oh, well, I'll get Kirk to do my bidding. Well, he doesn't want to do it. Okay, I'm going to go to the other group. But then that begs the question, why was she with him in the first place?
Right. She could have left at any time.
Right.
And used her magic and everything. And so, it's... Because, you're right. At the beginning, I think it's like, oh, this is great. Finally, a woman who gets involved. And then, there's the...
Not just involved. She was the leader of that tribe.
Exactly. And then, not
Tyree.
And then they go to have the talk about it. And I wish our former co-host Amanda Ivan were here for the sexist talk. But and they're like, no. He doesn't say the men are going to talk, but this is for us to talk about.
Yeah. But you notice she followed him anyway.
Of course.
Just because he said that doesn't mean she listens.
Right. So, overall, I liked her a lot. And
my only thinking of why she might be with him is when everything was peaceful, she's like, okay, well, now I want the wuss so I can turn his head and control the tribe.
That's true.
And then when the other tribe got powerful, she's like, well, I don't like being the leader of a crappy tribe.
Yeah.
Let's build it up. And if the tribe won't be built up, then I'll go to the other one.
My thought is, what was her plan before Kirk and those guys got there and she knew there were more powerful weapons?
I'm not sure. I feel like she was looking for a plan, but maybe didn't have one yet.
And then it dropped it.
Then it dropped
literally.
It yeah.
Dropped it.
Another Garden of Eden story. Yeah, I like the concept of this planet's full of peaceful people that don't want to kill people. And their chief, I like the idea that he commits to nonviolence even as his people are getting killed. I just can't say I like Michael Whitney as Tyree.
I did like him, or maybe I liked his character. I liked him well enough The wigs were terrible.
Oh, the wigs were
Oh, the
awful.
wigs were
All
really
around. Them, Nona, the villagers, everybody, terrible wigs. But
I thought the clothing was extremely odd because it looked more sophisticated than what they would have built, especially Nona's ladder.
well, and
She looked right out of the 2000s. She could have been in a Britney Spears music video.
That's true.
Ooh, in
well,
a bad way. But
Britney stole from. Yeah, her outfit was, and we're into the fashion section now. Clearly,
Yeah, let's do fashion.
Fashion. Yeah, I liked her outfit from a purely that's a good looking woman and showing a lot of skin out way, but
you can wear tight pants and a crop top and be more fashionable than she was.
I didn't
'Cause
like all the fur
nothing
on
that
hers.
the furry vest. I know furry vests are in right now, but not hot orange ones.
well, she spends a lot of time in caves. To be fair,
So orange was a good choice.
no, just the fur. I mean,
Oh no, I'm not mad at the fur. I'm mad at the orange fur.
fair.
Maybe
and then
it was
the-
just whatever she had to kill.
The pants with the ruffles.
I thought, and I will say this for the outfit, and again, it's the same topic, her showing skin, but the way they played with the censors with this episode and her, I thought was pretty good. For one thing, at one time, I thought I saw her smiling at me, and by smiling at me, you know what I mean, Colleen.
I do. It's not her mouth that's smiling.
I thought there was butt cleavage, but she had those dimples like in her lower back, but they weren't. I don't think they purposely did it, but I had to. I almost asked Jimmy-Jerome to rewind it to see, and
pants
then I
were
kept
cut
looking at her. I was
very
like, "Oh,
strangely.
she has those dimples."
Because I couldn't tell during a few points if she had muffin top, which is totally acceptable, or if that was just her, if she has really high hip bones and those were low. I couldn't tell. They were very odd. They were terrible pants. They were terrible. I shouldn't have to wonder, is that a bone or is that a muffin top? They were incredibly unflattering. And they had those ruffles. And those ruffles make me so angry.
I guess I didn't even notice the pants.
I feel like this is the
And I
most
know I
passionate
sound
Colleen's been about anything we've talked about in the Star Trek podcast.
It's possible.
Well,
She came on screen and I was like, I hate everything.
but
And she didn't fit in with anybody else. I mean, I
Well-
guess that was the point because she was supposed to be
well,
from a different tribe or whatever.
The witch
but,
people.
she was the
Yeah.
I
But
can't remember. The
I feel
term.
like both of the tribes, is that what they were?
Yeah,
The
and I
groups?
guess there should be a third one because she's a new.
One of the
Convent or
witches.
whatever.
But yeah, the two
Witches.
tribes of men, which is all that we saw,
Right.
their
And there's a
clothing
reason for
seemed
that, but-
similar in
Right.
its sophistication. And then yeah, she was wearing like weird faux leather and
Yeah.
crazy
Well, 'cause
synthetic fur. So
She's a witch person, or a
yeah,
witch.
she didn't look like she fit in with anything else on the planet. I can't imagine what her tribe looks like.
Oh, I can.
Can you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So what were you gonna say about why there are only two?
Oh, I'll come back to that. I'll just finish with her, the Nona, and there's a scene where she's essentially topless and only covering with the orange furry top when she's down by the river, ostensibly showering, but then she's completely dry. So I'm not sure why. Maybe she was
Water
sunbathing.
works differently.
She,
on this
I
planet.
guess she could have been sunbathing,
Sunbathing.
but yeah,
She
I
was
mean,
very tan.
yeah, that she was. It's a very definitely.
Spends time in caves.
And this might be why I like it too, especially when I watched it. But as far as the two tribes, it's definitely a Vietnam analogy, allegory. I'm not using the right literary terms here, perhaps, but in fact, the writer, and I can't remember his name.
This one was written by Gene Roddenberry. It says.
Oh.
Let's see. Created by, teleplay by. One more credit.
Yeah.
Don Ingalls did story.
That's him.
So he contributed, and then Roddenberry
yeah.
wrote it.
So he hammered home the Vietnam parallels even more than. And actually, I kind of agree with Roddenberry the way it's done because it's not as from my 1978 or 1980 mind. It's like Vietnam was fresh, and now it's not as fresh. And they even reference the Asian continent and the battles in the 20th century in this. So. But Roddenberry took a lot of the more specific, not naming Vietnam, but more, I shouldn't say beat you over the head, but more pointed references. Roddenberry took them out, and so Ingalls was like, screw you, Ingalls wanted his name completely removed, but he still got story credit. And to finish that backstory, they were both they were both LAPD cops.
He was credited under a completely different name, Judd Crucis.
That's what it was. Oh,
They changed
yeah,
the name
because
on it?
it's I wish I could remember because Judd Croesus is like I think it's a traitor or something. So he felt betrayed by Roddenberry. I think that's the deal.
I'm looking right now.
I know he wasn't happy.
Yeah,
but
it's a pseudonym.
I kind of get, and I obviously haven't read his version, or seen it. Obviously,
He said it's wordplay on Jesus crucified.
that's it. Yeah.
Jude Crucius.
So, but I get where Roddenberry's coming. But again, from from watching it in 1980 and 80, whatever, the early 80s, whatever, and even watching it now, the parallels are obvious, and I like the way it ends up. But like I said, I don't know how his went, but so the two tribes thing was very definite, and I don't even know if the idea of the witch tribe, because there were other women with the
I felt like they were
little
more
people,
like,
but they were all blonde.
Yeah.
So obviously brunettes are evil people, is what we're hearing.
Duh.
Well, I felt like she was just not necessarily that she had a tribe of people like her, but
Just,
maybe there was someplace
very
they went
special.
to train if you had a gift or
Yeah.
something. Would be the impression I got, rather than, I don't know. Interestingly, Don Ingalls was a veteran, not of Vietnam, but of World War II. So that may have influenced his military thinking.
Yeah.
He was a bomber pilot in the Army Air Corps.
Huh.
He also was a producer on Fantasy Island with Ricardo Montalban.
There you go.
And T.J. Hooker with William Shatner. So he kept working in those circles. Before we totally leave fashion behind, couldn't Kirk find a vest that fit?
Colleen mentioned that.
Well, this time, because I was talking about on the gangster episode how Spock looked so much better in the suit than Kirk did. This time McCoy looked way better. Way better in the pelts than Kirk did.
Well, Shatner had to show the chest.
Ugh.
My other thought with those outfits was like, man, the costume on the Enterprise is top notch. It's like, hey, we need this specific kind for this planet. Oh, I have some of that. I can whip that up in a jiffy.
But they didn't do that until after they beamed down first in their uniforms.
Right.
Even though they couldn't be seen and couldn't have any contact and had to keep all their equipment hidden.
Exactly.
Later they hid it in a leather satchel, which was dumb. But the first time they beamed down, they're like not even trying to hide themselves.
No.
That seemed weird to
Well,
me.
because it begs the question was like, Kirk's like, well, I know people here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, then you should know that you should show up.
Right.
And we get deep into the Prime Directive questions, which...
Not deep enough.
Yeah, I'm sorry Keith isn't here, because he would have loved the Prime Directive stuff. But, and
This
again...
is the first episode that really kind of talks about
It
the
is,
Prime
yeah.
Directive.
And Kirk's conflicted and McCoy conflicted. I feel like McCoy goes one way and then the other, which McCoy often does, but...
Yeah. I did think it was kind of ridiculous that McCoy got really mad that Kirk was just evening the playing field. Especially once it was pretty obvious that they were getting it from an outside source.
Yeah, well, I was waiting, and what was McCoy's alternative? Because his idea was they just get slaughtered, right? Yeah. That makes even less sense.
He and Tyree, man, they're on the same page.
I guess so.
They're like, let's just die.
But one of the things at the beginning I thought was, Kirk knows everybody.
Yeah.
Because, like, I lived here, blah, blah, blah. Which, on the one hand, I'm like, God, it's convenient he knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's kind of cool that in part of that universe building back then is all these things that happened that made him captain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that the new movie, we probably won't get back to those adventures of what happened. Which, if I'm going to mention the Star Wars, maybe that's a good thing to not go back. Just leave them in our imagination, and they're even better. So, but I like that kind of universe building. But to that point about the Kirk knowing everybody. Originally, Don Ingalls wrote this with Core from Aaron to Mercy.
It just wasn't.
And it wasn't Roddenberry, but it's one of the other guys, either Robert Justman or Gene L. Kuhn, was like, it's a giant galaxy. There's a lot of people there. He shouldn't keep running into the same single Klingon. So
to your point about the 2009 movies, we don't get to see Kirk become a captain because he just becomes a captain without all of the build-up.
Right.
Which I feel is such a cheat on the character.
It is.
You need the decades of working his butt off. I mean, he's already in the regular timeline, the youngest captain to ever command the starship. Yeah. We don't need him to skip over that and go straight from the academy to captain.
No.
One of the issues I have with the 2009 movie.
I have that issue as well.
So we've been kind of talking about Nona. You want to talk about Nancy Kovac?
Yeah, she ended up marrying the composer Zubin Mehta.
Really?
And so she stopped acting and decided to focus on being a mother and a wife.
She's still alive.
She is.
1935.
Yeah.
So she was in her 30s when she did this episode.
Yeah.
She wasn't like the young of the week. She's most famous for Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, and then she played in the sci-fi vein. She was played an astronaut's wife in Marooned, which was is an underrated, kind of an Apollo 13 kind of movie from...
with Gregory Peck?
Yeah, 69, I think.
Gene Hackman?
Around this time, yeah. That's
slightly after this.
It's an underrated sci-fi Major Tom / like I said, Apollo 13 kind of movie.
She did a Vincent Price movie. She did a movie with Elvis.
Yeah.
She worked up through the mid-70s. So she did some more stuff after this. She was in a few episodes of Bewitched.
I bet she played a witch that didn't like.
She played two different characters. One
Okay.
was named Cleo Venita, so it's got to be a witch.
It's got to be.
The other one, Sheila Summers. I don't know about that, but they must have really liked her and like, let's bring her back as a witch next season. Yeah, I didn't think she did a bad job acting it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think Michael Whitney did a bad job acting Tyree. I just didn't like the characters.
Fair
the way
enough.
They were
Fair
created.
enough.
We had a third major guest star, Dr. Mabinga. Booker Bradshaw.
And I was surprised when I was doing the research that he's only in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, we loved him, and I thought he was in
Mabinga?
I thought he was in like 7 or 8 episodes, but he's only in 2, which sucks.
I didn't remember him being in much, but he's somebody that I remembered.
Yeah.
I think from the other episode, That Which Survives, maybe, because I didn't remember this episode very well. So we'll see when we get to the other episode.
He's an interesting guy. He was like a international road manager for like the Temptations, I think, in the Four Tops when they toured in England and in Europe. And then he wrote some TV shows in the 70s. He wrote for some TV shows.
Yeah, I see the writer credits. Interesting.
Oh, and Nancy Kovac, I think she won a Emmy for an episode of Mannix, which is really weird. Yeah, It sounds like I'm making that up. But
I think you're making it up.
At the least, she was nominated for an Emmy. But she won an Emmy for Mannix. With Mike Connors. But I always loved Mabinga. I'm not saying it right, but Booker Bradshaw, I loved his character. Like I said, I thought he was in a lot more episodes. But and then maybe I'm thinking of reading about him in some novels and some of that stuff where he was.
I feel like he was mentioned in some of the novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely knows his stuff. It's nice to finally have a doctor that knows something about Vulcan.
Well, and I think we talked about before who's the backup, and I totally forgot.
Yeah.
And that's my alternate episode, actually, is Mabinga when he worked in. They say he worked in a Vulcan.
No, he did some type of training experience. In
Vulcan. And so that's my alternate episode is him working with the Vulcans. And
I think it'd be funny, like he's just waiting to examine Spock and question. Nah, I got this. But you don't know anything about. That's okay. It's more fun for me to mess with him. You just go away. I'll give him these pills that don't really work on Vulcans. I want to insult him about his physiology.
And we've often given Bones crap about why didn't you learn about Spock?
But he doesn't need to. He's got Mabinga.
Yeah, that's right. They finally solved it. They got him.
I think the obvious fan fiction alternate episode is after Mabinga tells Chapel, do whatever he says. Spock wakes up and demands some X-rated activities. Of course, that's just Christine Chapel's dream.
Sure.
She's waiting for it to happen. Yeah.
At the end of that scene when they get done and he's Spock's back and everything, and then Chapel says, "Just a second, I wanted to smack him one more time once he was finally conscious, but she didn't. But Spock likes it rough. I guess Vulcans like it rough because we can generalize about an entire planet.
That was really weird when, the Vulcans need pain to come back from consciousness. Like, that's something that's normal for them.
I guess maybe that goes back to their.
And you think Mabinga could have warned Chapel that instead of just saying, just do whatever he says.
Yeah, he could have.
And she's like, what? Well, you heard me.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's what was going to happen, because, I guess for the viewer, it plants that, what's going to happen. But still,
but for him, he should have just told her.
Yeah.
He should have been professional.
Yeah, it's going to be this,
I didn't understand how Spock was so injured he almost died, but could still, walk to the beam-up site.
I guess since his heart's where his liver's supposed to be.
Yeah, no.
It
he was playing off like it wasn't that big a deal.
And he went down hard, obviously. He got shot. And
went tumbling.
Green blood was coming out the front and his
the back. Through. Except without a hole, because he's not Shatner.
Of course.
He doesn't need to show off
of course. I read somewhere the first episode, maybe the only one where Kirk and Spock go down in separate incidents.
Oh.
And then McCoy gets winged and doesn't even phase him. This is...
Yeah, he was barely... It must have just grazed.
Yeah.
Because when we saw the blood, it was like a hole.
This is McCoy's Man of Action episode. He's killing Mogatos.
Yeah.
He gets shot. He's like, whatever. He does a medical log from the planet.
I loved that Kirk was like...
But he also was completely incapable of fixing the 2 top officers when they went down.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Spock went down, he was like, I don't know what to do. Then Kirk went down, he was like, I can't save him.
But let me break the Prime Directive and he does these rocks when somebody can walk in at any point.
I'm not saying Man of Medicine. I'm saying Man of Action.
I think there was a great McCoy scene, though, where Kirk was like, I need somebody I trust as much as Spock. I was like, that just solidified that he is part of that main trio. Yeah. And since he came to the show a little late, even though by this point he's been here a while, it's still,
Yeah.
Because he wasn't main character in season 1. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They're making sure this season he gets enough. I did also love the thing on the bridge where Scotty, Uhura, and Chekhov, they're all debating with him. He's like, I don't know. This is not a discussion.
Well, I loved it because
And then he apologizes.
He says, I didn't invite this guns debate, but let's do it. But really, he did. And then he
but
just
then walks it back.
And then he goes down to the planet and has a debate about guns for the rest of the
Wow.
episode.
Yeah, but those were other people.
I think was, so essentially, they're still commenting on 2017 America.
Sure.
Kirk's like, I'm talking about guns. This is not the time to talk about guns. Now I'm going to talk about guns. When we're talking about killing people on the planet, then we can talk about guns. But to that point about the debate,
I didn't see anything.
I thought it was weird that, and then Uhura, I think, offers the right argument because they're like, well, this is what should happen next, and then this, as if every planet in the universe should advance the same way with their firearms and everything. And Uhura's like, of course, is the one who steps in like,
oh yeah, Flintlock's gonna be the first one.
Of course,
yeah, of course to be.
But Uhura thankfully steps in and is like, no, that doesn't make any sense. She's like, different planets or different.
Yeah, but I thought that was a little weak because Kirk's like, it took us 1,200 years, 12 centuries.
Right.
And it's been like 12 years since I've been on this planet. She's like, well, they developed different rates. I'm like, yeah,
maybe
12
that's a lot
years is
more.
12 centuries, though?
But maybe.
No.
But I don't think that flintlocks should necessarily.
No, I agree with
especially
you there.
since that, I guess they do say it's an Earth-like planet early on.
Sure. But
Which is why everyone speaks English.
Sure. Except they have moving roots and Mugatus. Other than that, very Earth-like.
Colleen, you will appreciate that the Mugato is played by Janice Prohaska.
I like it.
Do you know who that is?
No, but I like that it's a woman.
No, it's not. It's a guy.
Oh, really?
Janos. He played one of your favorite Star Trek characters.
The thing under the rug?
Yes. It's the same guy.
Did he play both Mugato, the male and the female?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the second Mugato, I think, was female. The first one was male.
How could you tell?
Because they said his mate was going to come forward.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, and one of them.
I think you
female
guys
than
were
the
checking the genitalia.
I felt like they had different facial, like they adjusted the costume. But
I'm pretty sure he was both. I know he was the Horta.
Let's talk about that great McCoy stunt double next to the Mugato, who didn't even have to do a stunt; he just had to stand there.
They
like nothing like him.
It's a different guy.
Like one of the worst examples of a stunt double yet, and that's saying something.
And I like there was that weird effect several times in the episode where they just kind of made things a little blurry, so they didn't have to worry about things being too precise. It was a weird effect, and it's a weird episode in that it's all outside, or most of it's outside. And they didn't use the same location this time. It was Bell Ranch.
Yeah, it looked different.
Which is different from the one they used in the other episodes, which I thought was cool, too. I appreciate it.
I like the shot with the hand on the phaser where it kept firing and not firing, but the finger didn't move.
Yeah, McCoy. And
I think they used a still photo, yeah.
They couldn't make the beam go as easily.
Well, that was another thing about Nona, like...
And Kirk gets Buck back on the same transporter pad. Anyway.
And I guess they talked about it. It was, she had this huge weapon in her hand, this powerful weapon, but she didn't know how to use it, which again was a commentary about essentially those people there weren't going to know. Mm-hmm. They'd figure out how to use it to kill, but they didn't really understand and all that kind of stuff.
The villagers looked a lot more sophisticated than the hill people, and yet somehow they were supposed to be fairly equivalent.
Yeah,
with the guns.
yeah.
I mean, they had like arched doorways. They had all kinds of stuff.
Well, Tyree was against that too.
Oh, okay.
He didn't believe in that.
The arched doorways.
Tyree didn't. He liked tents. That's why they were out.
So tents. Tyree voted for Trump because he wanted to make America great again. Go back to the old way.
Yes, that's exactly what he.
Our former president Donald Trump. Surely by now.
Yes. Surely by this episode.
I mean, the fact that everybody in Hollywood today, Louis C.K. admitted this stuff, is going down, but we're still letting the sexual predator in chief stay in the White House.
Back to the. I don't have a ton more notes. Shatner has a good arm in that first scene. I like that. I don't think it was a stunt double, but he gets good air on that throw.
He does.
To get the
and that looked like it was probably a real rock.
It did.
Unlike the giant boulder he threw that was definitely foam.
Yes. I did like the Kirk-Tyree relationship, too. They
I like
their
their
brothers.
It
made it tricky when it looks like that. The whole scene where she makes Kirk kiss her, and Tyree sees it, and he's mad, and then he isn't. And I couldn't tell what was going on with him.
Yeah, that was weird.
Because he saw her using
the
root.
It looked like he felt totally betrayed, even though he knows what she is and what she does.
Yeah.
But then, he was super nice to Kirk.
Was the idea
So was he only mad at her?
That was my thing. Yeah, I couldn't decide what they were trying to get across.
Well, he knows how she controls him with that leaf or
that
whatever,
makes sense.
so I'm sure he knew that she was controlling
When
Kirk.
he was pointing the gun, who was he going to shoot?
Oh, I'm sure he would shoot Kirk.
But then he ran to Kirk's defense, and yeah, I mean, clearly he loved his wife deeply, but I think he had to have known it was her in that scene, not him.
And that was the weirdest part about the sex leaf, for lack of a better term. She didn't need to use it. Like, her husband was totally into her.
Yeah.
I can see where she needed to use it on
Yeah,
Kirk. And I know
you're
they
right.
just had to set it up so that you knew what she
right.
was doing when she did it to Kirk. But it was like, why are you drugging your husband?
Well, as somebody that may have dabbled in alcohol or marijuana in the past, even if you don't need it, it can be fun.
That's very
And
fair.
maybe she was just giving him a little present.
I'm thinking maybe Tyree performs better with a little bit of the sex leaf. That's what I think.
That's a very fair point.
That may be. He's a different.
He may
he's a
have
different.
performance
He's a
issues,
different
but-
kind of man.
You can edit all of that out. I'm sorry.
I hope they do not.
Speaking of which, they brought back the Vina music,
Yeah.
which I love the Vina music myself. I
Yeah.
just think it's weird enough, and it might be another nostalgic thing for me. It's very 60s weird. I like it better than the Love theme music and some of that stuff, but I like that. So
This did feel like a very 60s episode.
maybe because it makes me think of Vina. Yeah, it is very 60s. Again, might be why I like it. And I get the Vietnam stuff, and I get all the other stuff.
Not as heavy-handed as the Apple, but still pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah, I don't...
The worst part was the Beavis Flintock, sir, what'd you say? Serpents. Beavis 100 serpents.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. I thought... I'll give you heavy-handed on that one, that's for sure. I didn't think overall it was
Most of
terribly
the episode
heavy-handed.
wasn't, but there were those moments
That
where you're just
one-
like, come on.
That one definitely was, because
Yeah.
can you repeat that one more time? Because I thought I heard serpents this time. Flintlocks.
And then we never found out if they gave him guns or serpents.
Right, well, of
Or
course.
nothing.
Why? I'm jumping around now. Why was Scotty in sickbay? Was he just going
For
down to
fun.
check on Spock?
Chapel.
He couldn't just
I don't know.
hit the button and be like, "Hey, how's Spock
Yeah.
doing?"
Maybe he was
It's
trying
a
to
fun-
get his steps in for the
It's a
day.
funny moment. Don't get me wrong. He getting his steps in.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, why wouldn't he just walk by sickbay then instead of walking into sickbay?
Because if you walk into a room and then out again, that may be 10 more steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 10 steps are 10 steps. Doesn't matter what direction you go.
Says a man who's never counted his steps.
True.
I'm just kidding. I don't care. I don't know.
That's typical, Colleen.
Maybe he was coming to check on Spock.
And I
Kirk
read.
was probably like, check on him every 10 minutes and radio me.
Maybe.
I need to know.
I think this is the. I read this is the first episode of season 2 that doesn't end with the happy ending music.
So the ending, I mean, I'm just mentioning it in passing, but seriously, I don't know how it ended. It made me think that they were not going to give them guns. But then if they didn't give them guns, then Tyree's people were definitely wiped out. So,
in
this
my
is
mind,
Lincoln's friend
I think they did give them weapons, and that's
Okay.
why they're bummed out. They're like,
We're
this
going
is
to have
going
to
to
give you
be
the guns.
this is going to be the rest.
I mean,
of
he would have to.
Yeah, he has to. You know,
But they didn't stop the Klingons, which needed to happen.
yeah, and we never hear about that
Because as
Klingon
soon as
ship
they
again, do
give
we?
the Flintox to Tyree's people,
Yeah.
the Klingons are just going to give them machine guns. You
Right,
know?
and that was my problem with Kirk's thing of, I think it was Kirk, wasn't Kirk the one who's like, well, we can't give him, we have to keep them even. It's like, well, wait, they're not even now, so you actually have to escalate it
Right.
until they're even. So yeah, you know what? Give them both phasers, mutual assured destruction, which they pretty much balance of power. They were pretty much
Yeah.
doing that talk.
It was a very different episode of Balance of Power, but I feel like if they had already had Balance of Terror, they would have just called this Balance of Power.
Well, and I guess if we really want to hammer home the 60s idea and all that stuff and the Vietnam thing, so it'd be, we gave South Vietnam everything we had, but they weren't getting nuclear weapons, and China did the same for North Vietnam, but so if the phasers are nuclear weapons, so it's flintlocks and then whatever, but not phasers. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I think they
Kirk
gave
should have
the
just raided the Enterprise, had them shoot the village from space to stun everybody. They go in, they take the guns
Take
away,
all the guns.
and then they leave. And arrest the Klingon.
But you think they would forget how to make the guns? Because remember they were
That's
making
true.
guns there.
Destroy the forge. I don't know. Yeah, they just rebuild it. Yeah, you're right. They have the knowledge. You can't put the genie back in the box.
They should have just killed everybody and let them start over as tiny mammals. No. So yeah, I think
They should have just rotated the planet backwards, and so they went back in time until it didn't have guns anymore.
that's where I thought you were going to go before. That's what I thought you were going to
Sorry.
say. Like the end of
They just
Superman.
call Superman.
Yeah,
And he
exactly.
spins it backwards. Zoe doesn't like that idea.
No.
I guess my other alternate episode is they go back 13 years later and see what's
And now they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah, yes.
They're a fully
they've developed-
advanced
they've
1960s
developed
society.
Actual nuclear weapons, yes.
That was Star Trek 7 that never made it.
Well, what's her name? Nancy Kovac?
Yeah.
She's still ready. She can jump
Let's
right
do
back
it.
in as Nona.
It will be more than 13 years now.
And
but
those clothes are in fashion
Nona was
now.
dead.
Well, they were in fashion like 15 years ago.
Oh. Okay.
Nona died in the episode. Her granddaughter.
I guess that was, yeah.
Well, no, because her age. Never mind.
Well, she can still come back as a guest star. I like this episode more than you guys, but that's okay.
You did, but I didn't think it was
I think I like it more than most people.
terrible. I
shouldn't say most
kind of
people.
boring.
Yeah.
I did like the Mogatos. They were kind of neat looking.
Yeah.
They did fight more like a person than an animal.
And I thought I could see
But they were neat looking.
where the top of the costume overlapped the bottom of the costume, but
No, I just like the design. I used to have an action figure.
It
Oh,
made me.
yeah.
It made me think if Godzilla and the Bumble had a baby.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I
That
was
was
like.
like
It's pretty
gorilla
good.
sized and shaped. Yeah.
it's pretty good.
I feel like they just took a white gorilla costume and added
Yes.
horns
Yeah.
and spikes on the back.
Yeah.
We're gonna make Zoe dress up as a Mogato next Christmas.
I was gonna say I'd love to
It's
go as a
Halloween.
Mogado next.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say I'd love to go as a Mogado next Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a very.
You can be Nona.
I was gonna say I can probably find a really ugly orange vest.
Yeah.
and
you
then
can
you
be Nona.
need to find any place in the world where you could both be comfortable temperature wise in those two costumes.
Right.
Well, it's perfect because I'm always cold and he's always hot. So
So
Maybe
you
we
should
should
be the
switch,
Mogato,
yeah.
and Steven should
I'll be
wear the
Nona,
leather
yeah.
bikini.
there we go.
And Laura Spires can be Captain Kirk.
That'll work.
I want to be McCoy.
Fair enough. Done. Chris Brown can be Spock. There we go. Done.
But I'd probably end up being more Tyree. What other notes?
That's all I had. Colleen, do you have anything?
I think we would be remiss to not mention the blatant sexual assault at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's a.
That
I
was
don't
a
know-
total gang rape.
Well,
I don't know when sexual assault was first on TV, because I figure back in the day, like, you couldn't show a man and a woman in bed together, but this was probably fine.
Star Trek had the very first sexual assault on TV. No, I'm just kidding.
well,
I wonder. I don't know when it was.
they drop it
but-
in earlier. They drop in a thing about something about once you've killed him, then you can take his woman or whatever. She's yours or whatever. Blah blah blah. So they dropped that in already. So it's already set that that's the culture or whatever. So.
But yeah, she shows up and she's like, hey, I brought you this cool thing. Do you want it?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're going to rape you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're simple people on whatever planet this is, and those
It still
the
bummed me
villagers.
out. It
Well,
bummed
the
me
bummer
out.
is she doesn't. I wish she'd gotten one of them at least
Yeah.
or something.
She was holding it the whole time. She
well,
could have
she
just
had
shot
that
one
giant
of them.
knife too.
Yeah, she could have stabbed
And
him.
then-
She could have phased him, whatever.
And then
it's
they end
called.
up getting
Yeah.
away from her or whatever. She should have at least been able to get a couple of them. Cause,
It was an incredible disappointment.
and that's the problem is she's this strong woman the whole time, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm not." It's like, no, you're people. You have a giant knife.
She was Lady Macbeth the whole
Yeah.
episode, and then all of a sudden she
Yeah.
was like, wilting little
Where's
flower.
the damn sex
I
slave?
felt like she didn't even get that they were trying to assault her, really. She was just like, no, guys, hang on.
You're right at
You're not
first. You're
listening.
right at first. She did, and then eventually it was like, it's not-
She sure acted tough through it. Like, she wasn't scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was fighting, but it was a rough end to
It was
a rough
disturbing
episode.
as it should be on any planet.
But I do, you know how I like you to look up statistics. At some point, I want you to look up when the first sexual assault was broadcast on network television.
Well, their definition is probably different than.
And that's okay.
I just Googled it. Let's
Oh.
see if we get an
All
instant
right.
answer. I mean, there's a lot of articles about the truth about TV's rape obsession, all kinds of stuff, but I'm not seeing first.
Actually, I think it was-
the first fan that writes in and gives us the answer of when the first sexual assault was on broadcast television, I will mail them an autographed picture of Steven.
Ooh,
Well, actually,
with your autograph or his?
Both.
I don't want to ruin the contest, but I think actually Leave It to Beaver had the first sexual assault.
Really?
Remember the next morning, June's like, "Ward, I think you were a little hard on the beaver last night." Boom! Yes!
Oh, well, that's pedophilia.
It's still sexual assault, though.
Yeah, it is, but
Wait, are we talking about the beaver is in the child or
Yes.
the beaver
Yes.
is in...
Yeah.
Oh. Because I was
Oh.
like, that doesn't have to be an
Oh,
assault.
you're right.
That
You're
can
right.
be fun for everyone.
June would be down for that. You're
Okay.
right.
Because that's the way I took it.
Oh, maybe that's what that means.
oh, I
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
never thought of it as a sex joke.
I knew it was. Yeah. It could go either way.
So
Yeah,
the show
they're-
was actually not about the kid; it was about her vagina.
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen an episode. But that phrase, I think, is about, her vagina and what happened last night, not about a kid.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Zoe. We have something with our discussion.
Well, that
A few more years, we won't be able to have these talks in
I'm
front of
stealing
you,
that
so-
joke from Revenge of the Nerds. They're like, "What's the dirtiest line ever said on television?"
Yes.
Which was,
But as funny as it is, seriously, the first sexual assault actually shown on TV, I am interested to know.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything through a brief Google search. Granted, I'm holding a baby and I'm distracted, but
And to sweeten the deal, I have a photo of Steven in his underwear that we'll sign and send to the fan that can...
are you trying to sell people or talk them out of it? I don't understand what's going on here.
All proceeds go to Women Have Options Ohio.
There you go. Now you got me. Now
There
you
we
got
go. The first network, let me see. PBS was the first network to display frontal female nudity on television in 1975. Yep, National
me.
Geographic.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
The opening scenes of Man the Incredible Machine showed a fully nude woman in artist's model pose. Yeah, there's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There were certain networks that aired that uncensored in the broadcast, even though it had women's breasts in it. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Nudity in film, yeah, I don't see anything about sexual assault, though.
It's a challenge. I love it.
I like it. In this day and age when everything is found on Google.
And the fact that you can find things so easily when it's the first couple to be shown in bed together, the first couple, those kinds of things are at everyone's fingertips. But this one, it's the dirty side of Hollywood they're trying to keep down.
I think you're correct.
At this point, you can't.
This should be something coming to light in today's
Right the
news.
second as we're recording this, you can't.
Anybody that's still alive to participate in this.
You can't go to a website and not read about
somebody in Hollywood assaulting
That might
someone
be
else
why
in
it's so hard to find
Hollywood.
it right now.
Maybe.
Do we want to rank stuff?
Sure.
You have more.
No, that's all.
Okay,
Did
men,
you have
women.
anything else, Colin? Any other notes? Thoughts?
Nothing important.
Men, women.
Well,
Star
none of
Trek?
this is important.
Yeah.
Sexual assault is important.
Well,
It is.
fair. I meant.
And so are
this
ugly
is-
orange vests. I rank it. I know this is one where we're gonna all disagree, but we're gonna outnumber Steven, and I rank it very low.
Let's do male, female first. You still have Commodore Decker.
I'm gonna switch it
to
Lady Macbeth here.
Nona.
all right.
She was good looking, and up until the end, I'm gonna say she was a badass. And if you need to edit that out, she was a strong female character.
Those females
That's
are strong.
honestly, despite how awful she ended up being, I think I would choose her as well because she was such a more assertive.
She knew what she
interesting,
wanted.
complex character.
She knew what she needed to get.
Yeah.
She did what she had to do,
And she looked good doing it.
and she looked good doing it.
I agree with that. I would totally be a victim that she would claim and just use and throw away, but I will still choose her, even though I know she'd be terrible for me in real life.
Is this going to be unanimous?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Because
All right.
I had.
Zoe likes the Megano.
I had the gun mall last time. Okay, well, three of the four of us.
It's so soft.
I almost chose the Megano because I felt like there was that Leonardo DiCaprio scene that was very sweet between the Megano and Kirk when they were making out. Yeah, Kirk being left shaken like that. It just, but then he didn't get any worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
The medical stuff was kind of crap. Okay, so ranking this. Well, let's start with the Apple because that's the obvious comparison. Better or worse than the Apple?
I liked the apple better.
Really?
Yeah.
I definitely like this better. So you're the deciding vote, Jimmy.
I actually would put this above the Apple.
Okay.
A piece of the action.
What's that one?
That was
That's
the
gangsters.
one
The
we just
gangster
did.
ones?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would put this below that one.
I would too.
All right, you guys win. You guys win. All right.
I'd fight for it above the Apple just because it was less heavy-handed, and I liked the issues it raised, even if they did it poorly.
I just got so blatantly bored during it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If Steven was going to rank this himself, where do you think you'd put it? Just out of curiosity.
Because
I think Colleen might rank it a little lower. I would probably, obviously, rank it right where it is.
I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't go up that much higher. I'd probably either right below or above Doomsday Machine, probably.
Oh, that's quite a bit higher.
I think, yeah.
That's quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
So, right around Doomsday Machine. Wow.
I think so.
Doomsday Machine was such an excellent episode.
Yeah, probably below it. But maybe above.
But above I Mud? Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, Colleen, if you went below the Apple like you would like to, would you have gone any lower than that?
I don't know what any of these are.
Who mourns for Adonis was the Greek god.
I don't think
Guy.
I saw that
Yeah,
one.
you missed that.
Deadly Years, they kept getting real. They got really old.
I didn't see that one either.
What was one from the fold?
The
Klingon.
no, the
No.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
Didn't see that one either.
Oh, Friday's Child was
The pregnant woman. The
yeah,
Klingons.
tribes.
The Tier, the guy. All that. They were at another planet.
I don't think I saw that either.
Obsession. Kirk turned into Captain Ahab.
How did I like that all the ones I skipped were so bad.
Yeah, you skipped the
You
right
lucked out.
ones.
Gamesters of Triskelion. That one I remember. That was the brains and the dome.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the immunity syndrome?
That was the last one we
The
watched.
amoeba.
I would probably put this in between those two.
All the way down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I was the middling factor, and that's why it's in the middle.
That's why it is where it is.
If Keith was here, it's interesting to see where it might have been.
I'm curious to see
different.
how Keith felt about it.
Because he watches all of them anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
He catches up.
Yeah. Well, that is it for now. We will be back next week with Return to Tomorrow.
Which is what was the one we hated in season 1?
Yesterday's Enterprise.
Okay, the titles I always.
Oh, the Return to Tomorrow is completely different.
Tomorrow was yesterday was the one we hated, right?
Yes.
Return
Tomorrow's
Tomorrow.
Yesterday is really bad.
Yeah.
Return to Tomorrow, thankfully, is not a sequel to that episode. It's the Enterprise is guided to a distant, long-dead world where the survivors of an extremely ancient race. That's interesting. Like, we've seen that before.
Yep.
Existing only as disembodied energy.
Yep.
Desiring the bodies of Kirk, Spock, and astrobiologist Anne Mulhall so they may live again. So energy beings trying to take over Kirk, Spock, and the hot girl of the week.
I can tell you right now from my memory, I'm not going to like this one as much as this one. Or a lot of others, probably. We'll see.
Okay.
That's my memory of it.
Well, until next time, live long and prosper.